reminded me that I was not recording. Um, so just to say it one more time for the people that will catch our recording. Hi, me and all the finalists are here. And we just answered the first question, which is when do I start? If you're talking about the SAT, I would say about 2 years before the day you want to start college. And then the PSAT about a year before that. So about 3 years before the day you want to start college. Okay. What if my score is stuck? Any panelists want to take that?
I could go first. As it relates to my score being stuck, what it shows mostly is a need for to change your approach to how you approach the SAT and the problems. Oftentimes, like the SAT is an exam that's where you need to practice. Like I always emphasize to my students, like you can know the concepts, you can have a good internal like comprehension about the concepts, but if you don't practice the specific ways in which the exam asks you, um, the particular ways in which a style you and try to trick you, you will fall short. So first and foremost, you need to practice like abundantly. As much as you want a high score, practice enough to compensate for that. Once you've practiced to a point, and if you've been tracking your progress and you realize that, okay, you reach a road end, a roadblock, then you could be like target those areas. Where exactly am I experiencing that roadblock? Because you may not be experiencing that roadblock in all areas. You might be naturally attuned to more areas than others. In those areas that you're experiencing that's roadblock, like those areas just not being improved, then zone in on those areas while not neglecting the others and change your approach to those areas. But you have to take a very metrical, a very like analytical approach to your progress and a very determined. If you're not determined and you're not tracking your progress and understanding how you can advance your score, because tutors can give you advice, can give you all the concepts. We can show you the guys the pathway, but you can't force the horse to drink. You have to take that determination to succeed. And with being logical about it, you can supersede any roadblock.
Alyssa, want to touch on that?
I think Justin covered most of it. I would just add being stuck or at that roadblock is not necessarily the end of the world. As Justin said, just look at it from a different perspective and really try to zone in on the areas that you think are giving you difficulty. So it really is target practice, more practicing, especially that determination and motivation to not give up, because it won't always be stuck forever. It's just, what do you do after you get stuck? Are you just going to stay stuck, or are you going to, put in the effort to unstuck yourself? But yeah.
And I want to highlight that fact really quickly. That's very important. It's all about the psychology of it. Like change your mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. We get so stuck in the idea of, oh, I'm just not smart enough, or I'm just not good enough. Like certain areas you just need to practice more, or you need to grind those areas because you get stuck in a way of thinking, and you want to believe in yourself and have the ambition to go forward.
Yeah, I think all those points I would have definitely said. And I think the only thing I would add is I like the fact that you said an analytical approach, because a lot of people tend to think that, oh, I'm just gonna keep practicing and then I'll just get better. And that's almost never the case. What the thing is you need to remember is the SAT is an exam that has question structures, right? Or any of your standardized testing has question structures, which means that you have certain questions about this, you have certain questions about this and this and this. If you notice that on each mock exam, each homework assignment, whatever it is that however you're practicing, you keep getting a certain thing wrong, that's your kind of cue to go, I need to write this down in my little list of things. And the next time I go to practice, it's something I'm going to attack. to make sure that in the next assignment, it's not going to be wrong again, right? So it's never going to be that the score just automatically changes itself, because that's never going to be the idea. So what I find with a lot of my students is they say that their score isn't moving, but then they don't even know what they're getting wrong. They have no clue what it is that they're getting wrong. And if you don't know what you're getting wrong, you can never fix it. So that's one of the first things that I would highly recommend that you do. Figure out what it is that you're getting wrong. Okay, let's jump into our other questions. How many times should I sit the SAT? Anyone want to take this one?
I started 3 times. So I just being very honest, like no one like really expects you to do extremely still on the first. You can be a superstar and you can put in the work, be analytical, you can take the approach. Like the foundations are there. It's possible. It's not impossible. But I want to take a break away from this narrative that's so easily attached to CAPE, CSEC, etc., where it's like a one-shot kind of narrative. This is your future. This is quite literally the score. Not to put pressure on it, but it's something we should take very seriously and comprehensively. If you don't do well as you want to in the first time, be perhaps consider another time. Give yourself enough leeway to be relaxed and take the exam as in better conditions as possible. Most people get into top schools, top programs, or get or top school for them, I get their ambitions. Take it more than once. So there isn't a limit on the amount of times that you take it for. More than 3 is a bit excessive, I would say. But 1, 2, 3 times, don't feel ashamed. That is very typical for students striving to maximize. But getting it in the first chance is very possible. Second chance possible, but don't limit yourself.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that we sitting here as tutors, we were the people that went, you know what? Let me just sign up for the SAT one day and I get the score I want and I went to school for free. That's exactly incorrect. And I think that's what makes us really good at our jobs. I think that's what makes us more relatable to the struggles and the experiences of our students, because this is what the typical student is going to go through, right? And what I would highly recommend is that you don't even think about the fact that you're going to be taking the exam one time. Imagine yourself taking it more than once. That is exactly what's going to happen. Because put it this way, let's say you find a bicycle and you say, okay, I'm just going to jump on the bicycle. I'm just going to ride it down the road. And, next thing I'm a NASCAR driver. No, that's never how it works. And that's kind of what you can think about if you think about, okay, I did a few little practices here and there, and then now I get this best SAT score possible. That it never happens like that. And so what I want you to think about is doing the exam more than once will allow you to get the nerves out that first time around, right? You're doing your best, of course, you prepare as much as you can, but you're getting those nerves out. You've done it before. So that second time around, you've already have a score under your belt. The second time around is a lot more relaxed. It tends to be you're a little bit more focused. You know exactly what to expect. Maybe you go to the same test center, you know the exact room that you're going to be in. Everything just kind of feels a little bit more like muscle memory at that point, and you're able to think a little bit more clearer. And then you have the opportunity to super score as well, which is I take a really good score from the first sitting. Let's say I got a really good math score, and my English section wasn't that good because I was a little nervous at the start of the exam. And then in my second sitting, my English score was really, really good. With my math score, maybe I wasn't focusing on math this time around. And then I have these 2 really good scores. I can put them together and create this immaculate score that's scholarship worthy and all these great things. So do it more than once, but try not to go too many times. It's a little stressful overall when you keep having to redo it over and over and over again. So we don't really recommend more than 3 times. It becomes a little bit stressful. But if you had like a really bad experience the first or second time, and a fourth time would really help you to, round out your experience, then I'm not going to tell you no, but don't stress yourself out with going more and more times than needed. Hopefully that answers that question. Go ahead.
The only thing I would add to that, very good points, is that yeah, feel free to take it more than once, but the problem is now when you don't put in the effort each time. Like take it very serious. Each time you take it as if it's very serious, not a joke exam. Try your best, try your very best, and then feel free to take it more times.
Perfect. Okay, guys, we see all of your questions. We see them. We're almost through the frequently asked, and then we'll jump into these as well. Pinky promise. Okay, this is a good one. Are some sittings harder than others? Alyssa, what do you think about that?
I don't think that some sittings are harder than others. It is a standardized test, so it is kind of on the same level each time that you do it. Yeah, it's no sitting is easier. They're all the same. They follow similar formats, similar question types, not exactly the same, but the same formats, similar questions, etc. The only way you would think, let's say you do the exam in May and then you do it back in August and you think May was harder than August. Multiple reasons could be, for one, it's your first time doing it. So it seems like, wow, what is this? Versus in August, you're more comfortable and you're like, okay, I'm a pro, like I've done this before in my comfort zone. Or simply you do the exam one time with 100% effort, as Justin said before, and then you do it the second time and your effort is like 50, right? So the exam itself is not different. Okay, it's standardized. I don't think any sitting is easier or harder than any other. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I am not wrong. Are you laughing? But yes.
Oh, I think you're good. No, exactly that. So there's no way that either the students or the tutors, we can sit here and say, the August exam is going to be the easiest exam this year, or something of the sort. The exams are meant to be standardized. So there's no thinking behind the College Board saying, okay, we're going to make the August exam easy and we're going to make the October exam hard, or something of the sort. They're meant to be 750 from August is a 750 from November. And a 750 from November is a 750 from March, let's say. They're meant to be the same, on the same level, as much as they can, right? As much as they can. It might be that maybe you have a topic that you really struggle with, maybe that was asked on one exam, but maybe it wasn't asked on another exam. Maybe, let's say, I know my class is currently going through let's call it a situation with circles. So maybe, let's say, a circle question comes on August, but they don't see that exact kind of question come on October. Then maybe you may feel that the exam was easier, but it really isn't meant. They're all meant to be the same, and there's no point in us kind of sitting here and speculating, okay, this exam is going to be the easier one, or this exam is going to be the hard one. That is energy much better spent practicing. So no, we would say no. There's no easier or harder sitting.
Yeah, also,
Go ahead.
I cut out for like 30 seconds because fluctuation Wi-Fi. But one thing I would say that for the English section, or like some of the questions like might not be as accessible to you. Like you may know one story. I mean, I know like another story. Like you may know like, the history of World War II, and that might have like affected you to like very good and that part. But the actual intensity of the questions themselves are similar. And if there's any slight deviation, that would be the scoring rubric would a one for that.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Alrighty. What about the ACT? So that's a really good question. I think the ACT is very well suited for a lot of people, and that is why we offer our test-based assessment, where we allow you to take a diagnostic test for the SAT, and we also allow you to take a diagnostic test for the ACT. And we compare those scores and let you know we really would recommend that you take this exam or the other exam. But the ACT, for a lot of people, especially those coming from the Caribbean background in education, tends not to be the one that is best suited. The reason I say that, especially for the math section, is the intensity of questions and the speed that they require that you do the questions at is much different. For the ACT, you have 60 questions in 60 minutes with 5 answer choices, versus on the SAT, you have, I believe it is 44 questions in almost an hour and a half, and only 4 answer choices. So if you can compare those two, and the topics that they ask in the ACT are much more difficult. So when you compare those two, Nicole?
Greetings. Hello, permission to cut you briefly, Dominique.
Yeah.
Hello, Justin. I, of course, I'm fully aware that you all are more than capable, and I had no actual need to be here. You are way more knowledgeable than I am. I just wanted to say hello to all of our guests joining us on this Q&A, to thank you for coming, and then to also just share in the chat. I don't know if you know, Dominique, but changes are coming to the ACT beginning April 2025. There will be more time per question. So if we have kids or parents in here starting college in 2027, then, you know, this is right on time. 2026, I mean, you won't be able to use this. The deadline will have already gone. So this is going to be for the 2027. Actually, no, 2026 kids would still have some time to use the new ACT if it starts on April the 25th. If it starts April 2025, these changes. So if you're starting college in 2026, that's still a bit late to start testing, in my view, still a bit late, but there will be, you can be a guinea pig then, you know, on the new ACT, April 2025. But I think they're acknowledging that compared to the SAT, as we always tell our students and parents, right now there is more time pressure on the ACT than on the SAT. And most of our students do not actually like time pressure. Surprise, surprise. They prefer to have more time per question. I see you guys nodding. You are students much more recently than I was. And some of you are still students. All of you are still students, because Dominique is in her PhD and you guys are undergraduates. So, you know, everybody prefers more time, usually on a standardized test. And I think that's why, you guys can tell me your opinion, but I think that's why more of our kids prefer and test better on the SAT at this point. It's because they have more time to consider and supply their answers, quite frankly. But anyway, I just thought I would share that little scoop. You can copy and paste this Forbes article. Because I am not the host of this session, I do not have access to message all the participants, but you guys can copy and paste. This has no effect on students starting college in 2025. This will not help you. This has no effect. This is way past your deadlines. If you are starting college 2025, your deadlines are starting October 2024. So unfortunately, Kellyanne, this is not going to help students starting college in 2025 at all. I still think it's late for 2026 students, you know, but possible, but late, to really hinge your testing plan on, oh, I'll do better on this new ACT, because like, what if you don't? But this is gonna definitely work for kids starting college in 2027 and beyond. So our AIM early students who are with us will be very excited about that. My little Lauren, class of 2029, will be very excited about that. But that's about it. So again, thank you all so much for coming. Welcome. You are in excellent hands. These guys know everything about testing and have been helping students to really, like, you know, move their scores into scholarship territory for the past few years. They're brilliant. They're sharp, and they love students, and they love to help them succeed. So thank you guys for hosting this for us, and I'll just hand back over to you.
Thanks, Nicole. I love when Nicole like reminds me of all of the new details, because she's constantly on the hunt for more, which I love. I love.
And I will just, actually, I will not take the credit. It was head college counselor extraordinaire, Brianna Ellis, who caught on to this breaking news and shared it. So the AIM culture is to stay ahead of the game. And I love when everybody buys into the culture, because that means I get less work, which at my turning 40 age, the young people, the ones in the 20s are the ones with the sharp brain. Y'all soon find out. Y'all soon find out.
Well, yeah, I was gonna mention that this was only released July 15th, so just a week ago. So all the new details, I'm excited to go and learn more now about the new ACT, because I feel like it's now going to become much more of a popular option for students that are coming in by next year. So I'm really excited.
Definitely. And I mean, here's the thing with the whole world of college advising, college admission, scholarship, testing. It's like this, right? There's always some breaking news. You know, it's a big competition between the ACT and the SAT for market share, to be honest. So, you know, if one test is clearly more advantageous for students, or students believe so, then you can best believe the other test is gonna try and one up the other test. That's the beauty of competition, I guess.
Agreed. Okay. All right, guys, let's move through the Q&A, the FAQs, and then we can start jumping into the audience questions. So what is a good score? Alyssa, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. A good score is subjective. I think a good score base is depend on, for one, the college you want to go, as well as the students themselves. There is not one set score where it's like, okay, if you get a 1400, you pass. If you get anything below a 1400, you fail. That's not the case. Colleges require different scores. You know, the higher the score, then more likely the higher your scholarship may be. So students do tend to aim for that perfect 1600, but a good score is based on the college you want to go, and scholarships. If you're international, then you may need a higher score than a US citizen. Okay.
That's a fantastic answer. May I add?
Yes.
Permission to add. It's very dependent on the school you're applying to. What is a good score? And it depends on time to write. A good score for the University of Miami, since Alyssa is an undergraduate at the most popular school in the world, it feels like right now, no offense, Justin. You know, it used to be like you needed a 1350, and now you cannot, if you send them anything under a 1500, it's not very helpful as an international student. As a domestic student, a 1350 is probably still very good, right? So a US citizen or a green card holder. But as a international student who wants money from UM, you know, you're gonna have to present a 1500. So it really depends. You know, one of the things we help students to identify at AIM is like, based on where you are, what kind of schools are in your range. And the second part of Alyssa's answer is also really accurate. And what we depend on doing is, when a student comes in, you may have heard this already, but our methodology is, our system is, they do a diagnostic test. We know that the average score movement across both sections is, you know, near to 300 points, 270 points overall for both sections. So maybe 100 points per section, something like that. 100 and something points per section, right? So if you know, come in at 1100 and do the class, then we expect you to get to, you know, a 1300 and something if you do all the work. You know, if the lower you come in diagnostically speaking, is the more space you have to move, is the more your score will move. The higher you come in is the stickier the score is, right? So if you diagnose at 1400, it's not gonna be, oh yeah, after score movement, 200 points. I'm gonna just get 1600, you know, by doing the class. The closer you are to 1600 is the harder it is to get 1600. We know this. So that's kind of how the scores work. Sticky at the top, lots of scope for movement, nearer, you know, if you diagnose at under 1000, You know, you have a holy post movement there. I've had kids diagnosed at, 990 and end up at 1400. So you can really have a lot of movement there. So it really depends. But a good score movement would be performing above average in terms of where you move the score, which would be above 300 points. Is that a good answer, guys?
It was excellent. It was excellent. We should hire you back on the tutoring team.
You should start. No, don't hire me back on the tutoring. My brain. The brain is getting of advanced age. So 2 questions were directed to me. Let me deal with them. Kellyanne is saying her son is going into upper 6 form come September. Can he still take part and start college 2026? Absolutely. He could definitely do. If he's going into upper 6, technically he's supposed to start college 2025. But if he wants to start 2026, he can do a gap year. We help students to do amazing, effective, winning gap years that just add so much to the profile, help them to get really huge scholarships. They have time to build out the profile, build out the testing, the super score. As these guys will tell you, most of our kids are doing the SAT 2-3 times. My stepdaughter did it 4 times because I am her stepmom and she wanted big scholarships. And so we had to get the job done, okay? And she ended up moving her score like almost 500 points. So we really did get the job done. She did it 4 times. One of them was just experimental because it was a new digital and I sent her in to be my little guinea pig. So that is the price you pay when you are in the household of the founder of AIM Educational Services. But you can see from what I do with my own, what I think the best thing to do is, which is to, test and tutor and prep and get the score, because tutoring and test prep is highly effective and it is worth hundreds of thousands of US dollars. Literally, that's the value of a high SAT score in 2024. And colleges love gap years. They look at them favorably if they're spent, well, because they view the student as coming in with a higher level of maturity, which every college likes, especially these days, because it's just really valuable. It increases the chance that students will complete successfully and stay on track to getting their degrees. So they actually really like gap year students and view them as more mature. And then if a student were to do the SAT score, SAT this year, would they be eligible for a scholarship in spring 2025? Absolutely, they would be. Yes, the answer is yes, because those deadlines are normally October. So you would definitely want to do the SAT. The score would be out by what, the 3rd week of October, Doms?
Yeah, 3rd week.
Right. So as long as that scholarship is, as long as that deadline for spring admission is, between like November 1st to November, I would say November 1st, just to be safe, then you should be fine. All right.
Yeah.
So fun. I love popping in and seeing you guys, just doing excellent. I love it. Makes me feel like a proud mom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Okay, almost done with the we just did one. What do I need to get a scholarship? Really good SAT score and a really good profile. I think Nicole answered that one very well. And how important is the SAT for test optional schools? Justin, you want to take that one?
Like Nicole and Dominic and Alisa rightfully confirmed, like even if the school is test optional, you still need a good SAT score, especially as an international. Like SATs is very, very important. The higher the score, the better your chances, because even test optional simply means that it's an option. It doesn't mean that if you send it in, it will be favored or not, unless they said don't send me any score. But the very fact that there's an avenue for a score means that if you do well and send it in, it speaks more to your performance and you're selling a better profile at that school. For example, like I said, like, a good score is very school dependent. If you're going to a very popular, very elite school, the 1500 plus is the golden zone you need to aim for. And even if you are not applying to a school whose average is in those areas, you still would do better with a good score, because at the end of the day, we're trying to maximize scholarships, we're trying to maximize acceptances and opportunities. And regardless of the school, regardless of the program, regardless of whether there's a test option or not, the very fact that there's a street, an avenue for it to send a score do your best so you can send the score.
Yeah, exactly. What we need to remember about the SAT is that it's a metric, right? It's a metric that these schools use to compare one student to another student or one student to a pool of students. And so you sending in that metric is saying to that school, here is another qualification that you can add to the rest of my profile. I'm a good student because I've done very well in the SATs compared to your other students that have also done XYZ in the SATs. It's a metric. And it's really important if it is that you're an international student that is seeking a scholarship, you need to have that metric because it's going to be one of those things that really are able to put you over that level, to round out your profile a little bit more. And as Nicole mentioned, test optional does not mean test blind. Saying that I will, you don't need to send me the test doesn't mean that I won't look at the test if it comes. So just remember that when you're doing it.
One other thing I would mention too is that, at the end of the day, international students are being evaluated against each other, and even against domestic students as well for that admission space. And they're coming from different schools, different school systems, different GPA sort of, calculations, different standards within a given school. So the SAT really remains this way to really evaluate kids against each other. It sounds like a bad way I'm saying it, like against each other, but it really is. And you can see the importance of it because they haven't gone test blind. They're still using the score. As one of the admissions officers for a very, very popular, very well-desired school that has 2 of its alum, or a current student is now hosting this session and an alum is on this session. You can guess the school. It's the garnish, it's the garnish on a meal. So let's say that there are 2 meal options and one is garnish and one does not have the garnish, you're gonna go for the one with the garnish. So that's basically how you can think about it, is that it pretties up the profile. It, enhances what you already have. And at this point, because there is also so much money on the line, I would never have a child applying to college and don't make them max that score if I'm trying to get that money. I would never. Hence why my child did the SAT 4 times to aim for a set of schools that were test optional.
Okay, guys, I think we've gotten to the most anticipated part. I hope that the Q&A section for the frequently asked questions was very helpful, just in case you guys had some of those brewing questions. So now we're going to take the individualized questions that you guys sent in. If you have any at this point, continue to send them into the Q&A section, and then we'll just be picking questions and going around and answering them as much as we can. Okay, so let me start with the first one that we got. For a student who did CSEC at high school but wants to do CAPE at college instead of doing sixth form, what would that affect their chance of a scholarship when they do both the SATs and CAPE? Okay, great question. So, in my opinion, I want you to remember that as someone that is applying from an international school, you want to remember that the first group of people that you're put against is the people that are applying from your high school and then from your country. So remember that if everyone around you is doing CAPE subjects, then they're doing a more advanced degree than you are. They're doing more advanced coursework. That means they're able to show their ability to do more advanced coursework, which is exactly what they'll have to do in college. So that's going to make their profile a lot better than someone who has not done those advanced courses. So it really is a situation where you're trying to decide, I'm going to be going up against these people. These are the people that they're going to be comparing me to. Would I rather do the advanced coursework that everyone else is doing, and then give them a really good SAT score, take that opportunity to really grow myself, grow in my maturity, add more leadership skills to my profile, and then apply to college, and then you will get so much more. So this is a question that I faced when I was in this little college application situation. Nicole can tell you that I was very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I came to her and I told her that I was going to apply to school.
I totally forgot that. What a person to answer this question. What a person. I mean, talk about stubborn. In Jamaica, we would say toban. Okay? Bless Stephanie, because we're gonna big up Stephanie, who was dance council at the time, for being gentle, where I just wanted to just squeeze her little neck. I was like, listen, I will be the one telling you what to do. You have too much potential to submit applications that are going to be less than your best because you're just not going to be as competitive. And bless Stephanie's softer approach, which I'm sure she didn't quite do it that way, but she got you to change your mind.
Exactly. It's about competitiveness at the end of the day. And I think that that's when I realized that I was making myself more competitive, but also I was growing. And that's something that those 2 years did for me. I grew so much. For one, I started working here as a TA. So I started growing in my ability to work with others, lead a team, have my first job, all those things that really help you to be so much more successful when you go to college, and you somehow have to still pay those things that your full tuition scholarship doesn't pay. So you have to get a job in college, all these things that you learn how to do in those 2 years that you're also dedicating to becoming more competitive, but also becoming a better person in general. So I would highly recommend doing sixth form, doing CAPE, being more competitive, getting really good SAT scores and building that profile before you go up against everyone else that does have CAPE.
I also want to chime in. I want us to stray away from the narrative that like SAT or CAPE, SAT or CSEC, like at the end of the day, like Dominic had said, you want to show as much academic potential as possible. Like CAPE is an advanced coursework, very similar, more similar than CSEC to what you'll be encountering in college. So you want to show the college that if they have student A and student B, student A and student B equally as involved, etc., which one would be more successful at my university? Which one will come to my university and do better? Not only do better, use up the academic resources and potential of the college and graduate. And so the likelihood of that increases with the higher the test score, because GPA, etc., and other like external exams in international countries vary in intensity and vary in culture. So the SAT is the standardized test that helps to bridge that gap. It's incredibly critical for internationals. Still critical for domestic, but more so for internationals. And so you want to build the best profile and position yourself better to display that you have academic potential.
Justin, since you're on the floor, is there another question that you'd like to answer from the chat?
If a student gets B's and C's, but gets a good scores for SATs, would they be able to get accepted into schools in the US? And would they qualify for needs-based scholarships? Again, depends on the school. The SAT and GPA are two separate metrics. You want to maximize both. If you realize you fall short in one, you're trying to maximize the other. And the more mobile metric is the SAT. And so that means you want to do even more so better on the SAT to counteract that, especially because GPA is more average and it's harder to change. If it depends on the school you want to go to. If you want to go to a good school or a school that like has a certain metric for the GPA or SAT, know that in one you have to compensate in the other. That means that you have to get that much above average for the school, because you have to look at it from the perspective of the schools. Treat yourself like an administration officer. And like, if I saw your scores and I saw another scores, what will speak to the academic potential of this student. And GPA is also separate from the SAT. GPA serves as like a consistent factor. SAT is more of the potential factor. It's the greatest metric for intellectual potential. And for that these scholars that these schools use. We might have our like biases, or we might have our like words to say about what the metric is or what is not. It doesn't speak to intelligence, etc. But from the school's perspective, it's not up to our opinions. They see it as what speaks to intellectual potential. So you want to be on the school's good side, so they accept you and give you scholarships. You want to expand into their domain and their territory and do as well as you can. Yeah, that's the answer to that.
Permission. I swear, last time. I have a little opinion on this one. It depends on the school for real. But by and large, the grades in school are going to be carrying more weight than the SAT. Okay. Again, one is used to bolster the other, but schools take the GPA very seriously. So it depends on how competitive the school is naturally. But let me tell you something. If you think if the school say they want a 3.5 GPA, which is typically where scholarships begin, okay? That's kind of the magic start point of most scholarships. They want a minimum 3.5 GPA. So if you have below a 3.5, you can't try to have a higher SAT score and then think it's going to make up for the fact that you don't have the GPA they're asking for. So I just want to be really, really very clear and transparent about that. You need to supply the people the things they ask for because you're in a very competitive environment, and that is just the truth.
Perfect. Alyssa, would you like to take a question?
Yeah, sure. I think you're typing the answer to the question, but so it says, good afternoon. Do you recommend, was already answered. Okay, let me choose a different question. Okay. Oh, guys, stop answering questions. They're all jumping up and down. Okay, so a bit off topic, but how would college admissions look at taking a gap year between junior and senior year? I'm assuming that's junior and senior year in high school, right? I think we did cover this a bit before, but gap years are totally fine. Like, it's not the end of the world to take a gap year. It just matters about what you do during that gap year. Like, if you take that gap year and you just chill, literally nothing to better yourself, to build that profile, then that's a waste of a gap year, and the colleges will look at you and ask you, why did you take this gap year, right? But if you take the gap year and you make the most of it, like you add on, your score goes up by 100 points, you took up some extracurricular activity, you excelled in it well, like you committed, like you make the most of it and you do what needs to be done during that gap year, then to them, that gap year is just you bettering yourself. It actually makes you a little bit more competitive. And as Dom and Justin said, I believe it does, they look at you as somebody that's more determined. Like, the gap year isn't the end of the world. It's not a bad thing. It's just what you do with it and the time that you spend doing things to better yourself during it. So I think that answers that. Anybody wants to add to it? Should I answer another one or?
No, you're good.
Okay.
I'll take another one. So I'm going down towards the bottom. I kind of feel like it's good to bounce around.
Someone is asking about doing CAPE at a local college that offers CAPE out here, or sixth form. Sixth form is usually favored. Be careful of community colleges because you really don't want your application to be interpreted as a transfer application if indeed you're applying as freshman year, because sometimes transfer students get less financial aid, right? So you really want to be very careful to make sure that they know, hey guys, this is CAPE, you know, kind of thing. And then somebody was asking about a SAT score for athletic scholarship. The coach can guide you very well on that. You can look at the schools. We have a piece of software that we give all our students access to called College Planner Pro, which displays the range of SAT score that each school is typically accepting. So you'd want to look and see, for the school my child is applying for, wants that athletic scholarship to, you know, you want to make sure that they're seeing that it is the score you're aiming for is in the range of the school that you're applying for, essentially. Some athletic scholarships you can get with like 1,100, some of them you need at 1,200, some of them say, okay, just 1,000. So it just really depends. And then the CSEC and CAPE results go toward your GPA, and colleges require both. So that is the answer to that question. Thank you guys for being epic. Make sure I'm signing off now, but thank you guys so much. And you'll continue to answer questions. I just want to remind you to give everybody the special offer, which is only available to our parents and students on this call. This is some inbox that we typically don't offer anything at this level. So I'm happy and excited that you guys get some special savings that these guys will tell you all about. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Enjoy your night.
Thank
Okay, we've been rapid fire in the questions. So I'm thankful for all the questions that we've been getting. Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. We are happy to keep answering questions. I think I'm next. How do you approach the SAT given that it is a different type of exam than CSEC? I think we've answered this question throughout our discussion. And the main part of it is that, yes, it's a different exam than CSEC, but it just takes practice. Like, how did you do CSEC? You practice for it, right? So it just takes practice. It takes someone that understands the exam to really help and guide you and, you know, navigate what to do, what not to do, where to focus, stuff like that. And then putting that all together with your own personal practice, you know, your own areas of weakness that you can put together a really good preparation strategy, and then taking that exam. Practice taking the entire exam. That's what our mock exams are for. And then also practicing each individual topic and area of weakness that you have individually. Okay, everyone is answering all the other questions. Look at that, how lovely. Let's see. As a non-immigrant and will be starting college in 2025, will they still be eligible for scholarships? Yes, of course, yes. Yes, they're still eligible for scholarships. Just make sure you have a really good SAT score, a really good profile, and then for sure you'll definitely be eligible for scholarships, even as a non-immigrant. I can answer this last one on top. Guys, please send in some more questions if you have them. I think we're finally starting to wrap up some more, but please send in questions if you have them. Where do I purchase SAT books? Does AIM sell these textbooks? So at AIM, we have textbooks, class materials that we share with our class, and that we share with our tutoring students, that we happily provide with our lessons. But you can easily purchase SAT books. So the College Board, the maker of your exam, offers a textbook. They also offer free articles, videos, practices on a website called khanacademy.com. And so you can feel free to use that. Also, just Google it. Best SAT textbook right now. And I'm sure you'll probably get you know, everyone's recommendation on what to get. And then you can pick, choose, and refuse from there. But I highly recommend the free one that the College Board has given to everyone. on khanacademy.org. I highly recommend it. We use it all the time in our classes, and I use it all the time with my one-on-one students as well. How important is the essay? You mean the SAT essay? Not important at all. The colleges have really stopped looking at them in general, looking at the scores that you receive from them in general. And it's not worth the added stress that it adds to the students, and also the added time that it adds to the entire exam. So we wouldn't recommend even sitting. It's just not worth it. And you have to add more money to it too, so not worth it. What is the youngest age that you work with? We have no limits. We kind of do. So we have an AIM early program, which is where we start with students just learning test taking skills, executive management, just how to organize themselves a little bit better. And I believe, Sharika, what age does that start at? I think that's fourth form, maybe third form.
For AIM early, we start as early as eighth. I'm sorry. We start as early as ninth grade.
That's
But
what
for
I meant.
AIMers, we start as early as eighth grade. So if you want to do an initial consultation in the eighth grade, we can accommodate that.
Yeah, there we go. That's perfect answer. What is the course structure? So this is a really good time for me to give you guys the link. So here we go. So the course structure is set up that we have both an English and a math class, because we don't believe that people that teach, that's a lie. We believe that we want to focus on a specific topic in a specific class. So we have an English class and then we have a math class. We don't teach English in math class, or we don't teach math in English class. Alyssa, as a verbal tutor, would never touch would never touch math, and I, as a math tutor, would never touch verbal. And so what we do is that we have a 3-hour class, that's our group class, and it happens twice a week. So we're gonna have a math class once a week and then a verbal class once a week. And then this typically happens over the course of a 8 to 10 week cycle. And then it leads right up to the exam. What we do is that in the mix of all of that, you get homework assignments, mock exams every week, and also you get access to us as tutors outside of class. You have a TA, a teaching assistant, that is there to help the students with any questions, concerns that they have throughout the week. So as they're practicing by themselves, they have this free resource of somebody that they can ask to help out with things. So that's kind of the structure of our class. And we have a class that is starting in a couple weeks. I believe the first mock exam is on the 31st of, that might be too late, hold on. The first mock exam is on the 29th of July. Is that right? No, 28th. It's a Sunday. It has to be a Sunday, right? The 28th of July is the diagnostic exam. And so we love the cheap things. So let me give you guys the link for the discount from our class. So whenever we have these little things, we like to just make sure that we're able to provide you guys not only with just the words that we're able to say, but also with if you want to take action and move to your next steps, here is the link that you can use to get some percentage off your SAT class. And the next thing I'll do is I'll give you the link to sign up for the SAT class in just a second. I can only work as fast as my internet allows me to. What is the link for Khan Academy? I can give you that too. So I'm already here. So And I'll send it in the general chat as well. This is the link to Khan Academy. It's a very good site and it's completely free. I highly recommend making an account so you can track your progress as you work through it. Yes, is the SAT class different than the application process? So what we have at AIM is called the College Gateway. So it pulls together the SAT class and also some pre-recorded master classes on how to send in the best application. But those are pre-recorded. And then we have a few live calls where we answer your questions throughout that cycle, and then you can send in an application. But we also have our college application program, which allows college admissions program, which allows our students to get more detailed feedback, essay help, and all those good things as well. And so that's a completely different thing. Oh, sorry. There we go, SAT. My Wi-Fi has decided to not. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. All right, guys, so this is the link to join our SAT class. Like I said, we have the July class that's starting. If you are going into upper six, if you are going into 12th grade and you have not sat the SAT yet, or you don't have an SAT score that you know, love, and want to send to scholarships, this is one of your last opportunities, if not the last one, for our SAT class. Or this class is going to sit the exam in October, and then the next one is going to sit the exam in November and then December. So that's going to be too late for those big scholarships. So you need to sit the exam by October to send that score off. So please, 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 I'm begging you, if it is that you are starting a little bit on the later end, then this is definitely your best bet. But if you are starting right prime on time, 2 years before, this is also a really good option for you. Taking this class that starts in the summer, you get to settle into the class during the summer, and then finish up with the class before you have your end of year exams, or school gets really hard with homework, by the time November hits, so I highly recommend this July class. I've already registered, okay. Yes, you can. Please send an email to testprep@AIM Online Academy. I'll write it for you. You can send an email to testprep@AIM Online Academy, and then we will, Shrika will help you out with figuring out how best we can rejig that discount code. So testprep@aimonlineacademy.com. Yes.
Sorry, Dom. There was a question a bit up in the chat that I think would be very beneficial if we do answer it. It was what makes a good college profile? So I can start, and then I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna add something onto this one. But your college application or your college profile is made up of multiple components. Like you have your personal statement, you have your regular class scores, so like your GPA, then you have your SAT score, you also have letters of recommendation, etc. I can talk on that. And extracurriculars, I can talk on extracurriculars because I have some personal stories with this one. So I went to Immaculate, and I would consider myself a enough little girl. I was in a lot of clubs, a lot of leadership positions, because at the time, I was like, yes, being in a lot of clubs and doing a lot of things is, I am smart, I'm busy, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Please, for the actual application, it's really quality over quantity. In my case, I was still able to do well with all these clubs and keep them all on the same level. But students do tend to overwork themselves and join a lot of clubs and activities thinking that being like the president of 6-7 clubs makes you the it student or the competitive student. It really does not. Colleges like to see growth. They like to see when you start, let's say, as a regular member, and then the next year you become secretary, and then the next year you go up to like vice president, and then you go up to president, right? They like to see that consistency and that growth because that shows that you are committed and you are determined, as well as you cannot have that many passions in life. Like you can have like 2, 3, 4 solid passions, but to overwork yourself and do a bunch of clubs, they are going to question your reason for joining these clubs. Also, volunteering. They do like to see some sort of volunteering. This doesn't mean that you should start something this week and then stop next week because you get to put down that you did that one event. They really do like to see that commitment and that continuous effort. So that's what I would have to say about that, as well as your personal statement. I wish Nicole was here to talk about this personal statement because she does a very good job. But your personal statement is very important. You want to make it compelling. You want to talk about yourself. I know she always suggests that for this statement, you sit down for a minute and just think of random words and then like write all the random words down and see how you can link these words to yourself in a compelling story. Yeah. Justin, you want to add anything? They're gonna add.
Yeah, on that note, like I said that like the profile is a very like topical question. So I would say that there are 5 categories. I wouldn't neatly attribute it to 5 categories, but from what I understand, you have the GPA, the SAT, extracurricular engagement, letters of recommendation, and the essence. Those are the 5 that I know. There are other Dama and Alyssa can clarify. But those are the 5 that I know. Essays, very important, very, very, very important. Helps you to contextualize your experiences and help to sell the narrative of your profile. GP and SAT in tandem tell a story for academic potential and how you will fare in their academic environment. That is a recommendation, tells you as a student what is your character in class. And extracurriculars, the foundation of the profile. Who are you? What are you engaged in? And as Alyssa beautifully said, they want students, they want like T-shaped students. They want students with a decent base, but with a very spike in something. Because they want us to see which student. Because remember that they're selecting a class of students. They're selecting many, many different students, and they want students that for example, depending on your major, they want to see evidence of that. So for example, I'm computer science, and that kind of touches on a question in the chat because I think someone had asked me about my journey. So as a computer science student, they want to see that, and they want to see something interesting about your life. Something outside of computer science. Yes, you do computer science, but what's something else that perhaps another computer science student doesn't have? So I was very, very, very like a big part of two clubs. So I was debating and computer science. Nothing else really, just those two clubs, but I went very deep. I went, okay, I'm gonna participate in nationwide tournaments in both. I'm going to be a president in both. I'm going to have these clubs for most of my high school year and develop skills in both. They will get a certificate in debating for debating adjudication. I'm going to do certificates in computer science. I'm going to go very, very, very deep, such that okay, this is a student in computer science that does very well in computer science, but perhaps a lot of computer science students don't know how to speak, communicate, or lead. So debating was the hook to that. So I'm gonna like they want to see something like, okay, I'm capable and I'm differentiable from other students. Also, even though those are the 5 categories, I want to like know that there's a holistic application. So then I traveled 2 hours and a half back and forth between like high school. I went 2 hours and a half to school, 2 hours and a half back from school because I live in like the bushes of Portland, Jamaica. So far up in Portland, like so I traveled 2 hours and a half around junction roads, around winding roads. And that speak to like a level of consistency and grit, and which is important in the application. I want to see, and that's what we speak about in the essays and through your teacher's eyes, etc. Who are you as an individual? Can you come to the college and be determined to succeed, do well? And are you academically capable? Do you have interest? Do you pursue said interests with the full determination and full aptitude? Because they want students who will complete the program and they want students who will contribute meaningfully. And if you do so many clubs, like I said, so sure, you could very well in all of them, and that would be good as well. But they want to see depth, breadth. So can be important, but depth even more. So even if you do 3, 4, they want to see depth in those, and they wanted to tie it together as part of the application to show something unique, to show that you're a leader, but potentially determined, capable, and will come to the university with mature and contribute, especially if you're an international student. Could expect international students to be even more mature than domestic students, and especially if you want to maximize the scholarships for them to invest.
That was a good answer. I really like you guys. I've just been typing some answers in the meanwhile. So if your question has not yet been answered, I've just been trying to scroll all the way back up, and trying to get all the questions that maybe we might have missed, um, as much as I can and answer them as best as possible. So let me see if there are any others that I missed. Which is better, IB, Cape, for college? It's a personal preference. You know, I was actually speaking with a parent about this, and they were trying to consider moving schools just to do IB, just with the idea of doing IB. And I told her it was a personal preference, but it was something that I faced as well. And my decision to do CAPE instead of IB was based on this, just personal experience, not necessarily gospel. But it was based on the fact that I knew that at my school, my current school that was doing CAPE, it would allow me, I had already been at that school for so many years, 5 years at the time, and I had good rapport with all of my teachers, friends, all that. And it allowed me to continue the same clubs, sports, all of those things, and also gain leadership positions at the end of the day. And when you move to a new school, it's very difficult for you to gain those same leadership positions over someone that the teachers and other students have known and have built a rapport with for very long. Same thing with your teacher recommendations. It might be very difficult for those same teachers that maybe have just met you for a year to write a really compelling recommendation versus a teacher that has known you for 5, 6, 7 years, writing you a glowing recommendation about how they knew you from when your eyes were too big for your face. Something of the sort. So I think it's very much so a personal preference. I don't think there's gonna be a college that looks at you any differently because you took one group instead of the other. But what I would recommend is think about your personal environment and what is going to help you not only with your coursework, your leadership, teacher recommendations, the rest of your profile as well. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys. Any other questions? Ooh, that's a good one. Can you give us a little bit more information about the college advising program and is it included? So, like I said, we have at AIM what we call the College Gateway, which means that we don't only offer SAT scores, help with the SAT score with the SAT class. what we realize is that it's really, really difficult for you to get a really good SAT score, but have no idea how to apply it to university and then expect to get a really good scholarship. So what we have done is that we've recorded these master classes on how to write a good personal statement, how to ask for a good letter of recommendation, all the things that you need to put together a very good, solid application. And that is entirely included in the fees for the SAT class itself. And also in that class, you get these calls, a kickoff call at the beginning, a closing call. I have my SAT score, what now? And then some monthly Q&As during, much like this, during the application cycle to help out with writing the actual application. So that's what is included in the fees. But if you need more help than that, more guidance, more personalized steering, on what to do, we have our college advising program, which has 2 levels. It has I think it has 3 levels: gold, silver, and platinum program. And I sent the link for that in the chat as well. And then you're able to choose what you need help with. And if you're someone that just needs help with the essay itself, you can choose to add that a la carte as well. So there's a lot of different options. And I believe I've sent out the links to all of that. How do you access ooh, 1 second, Justin. How do you access the videos if your child is already in the class? It is, Shrika, correct me if I'm wrong, it's on the hub that they get, right? Maybe
they get a link to the College Navigator platform. And that's once they're in their class, they get a link to access the College Navigator platform, and that's where they see the master classes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's on the College Navigator platform. All right, you can go ahead, Justin.
No worries. Sorry to interject. But as an alumni of the platinum program, I just want to like give a bit of advice. As it pertains to like say an individual, might be wondering like, what if I don't have any ambitions? Then what if I don't have what if I don't have any goals? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know, I like computer science, but I like biology too, etc. Like, I would say most people fluctuate in their ambitions, their goals, etc. Even in college, I'm not even sure if I want to do computer science anymore. But I would say look at what you're good at, look at what you can be good at, look at what you have some bit of passion or skill towards, and commit to it. Dive into it and embrace it fully, because how will you know if you don't embrace something or a concept very fully? How would you know if you don't test the full extent of it? And what they want is just students who are disciplined and can commit to something. Because like this everything we know is like ambiguous, and your passions etc. will change, but so you need to fully engage them. And that's where you just try your hand at multiple competitions, try your hand at leadership spheres and what's important to you, and engage thoroughly.
Perfect. All right, guys, we just want to thank you so much for coming and asking us questions. They were wonderful questions. And if you have any more questions for us, feel free to contact Sharika. I'm sure she'll put her contact information. Well, I can give it to you. It's testprep@AIM Online Academy. That's her email and her WhatsApp number. She will tell you in 2 seconds.
WhatsApp number 276-9557. Email address testprep@aimonlineacademy.com.
Wonderful. And then if you have any follow-up questions, we'll be happy to answer them. But it was lovely speaking with you all. I hope this was helpful. I really, really do. Like I said, every time I come into these webinars, I try my very best to make sure that I give you guys the same treatment that I would have wanted my mom and me to get when I came here to ask questions. So I hope that you all were able to get as much as possible from this. If we see you in the class, I'll happily welcome you guys to join us. But apart from that, thank you so, so much. And enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you guys.
Oh, Dominic, they were asking me to repeat the number. So it's
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
276-9557.
276-9557. Perfect. Good night, everyone.